Welcome, everyone. My name is Grainne. I'm from the Google Apps for Education team, and today I have the great pleasure of presenting to you what Google does in education and the Google in Education team. So as it says here, we're preparing kids for jobs that don't exist yet. That is our mission, that is our goal, and that's why Google is here, that's why Google is in education. So why don't I jump straight in and talk to you about why Google's here and I suppose the mission, the pillars of our team, and what we're based on, why we do what we do. So I suppose mostly one of our key focus areas is around empowerment. Empowerment not just of students, empowerment of teachers, empowerment of parents, empowerment of everyone to learn. So Google was founded on the basis that people need to search, people need to find information. And Google's mission statement, to make the world's information universally useful and accessible, is also really crucial to our key education message as well. So how can we empower students? How can we empower teachers to find the right information at the right time? So when you're looking at a Google search or a YouTube search, there are thousands, millions of results, and how do you find the right information? How do you make that useful to what you're doing in the classroom, and how do you bring that into your work and use that to develop and learn? So that's what we're going to be talking about as well today. But it's also about choice. It's about allowing any user, anywhere, at any time, and using any device to access the right information. So it's about user choice. We don't need people to use one particular browser, one particular device. Whatever you have in your hand, when you connect to the internet, you should be able to access the same information on that device. But obviously, information on its own in a silo is useful to a certain extent, but you really need to pull in collaboration and teamwork. So that's also one of the core pillars of the Google in Education mission. It's about allowing people to work together, to share information, to share links, to use video conferencing, Google Hangouts to discuss, to work together, using Google Documents to work together in real time and to collaborate and to share documents and really to bring teamwork to the next level. And then obviously, finally, scale is obviously something that Google is really, really great at. We have at the moment over 100 hours of YouTube video, 100 hours of video uploaded to YouTube every single minute. Every single minute, 100 hours of video uploaded to YouTube. It's enormous, absolutely enormous. So when you're thinking about Google, about YouTube, it's just about enabling that scale and making sure that users, no matter where they are, that those videos are as easily accessible and as quick to play, as easy to get at for every single person, regardless of which device they're using, where they are, and what time it is. So Google is fantastic at scale, enabling all users everywhere to use our products really, really easily. So that's something that is really critical, is really core to everything that we do. So I want to just dive into a little bit more into what my team does and what we are here to present to all of you here at the BETT show. So you might have seen on the other side of our stands that we have a whole range of Google Chromebooks. And on those Chromebooks, we're showing a number of the Google services that you can use. So that covers off some of our tools and solutions sections. So I think if you haven't heard about Google Apps for Education, you can learn more from my colleagues and you can ask really specific questions about how you may be able to use it in the classroom yourself. But it's not just about providing teachers, providing students with the tools and walking away. It's also about developing programs and developing communities so that teachers can connect and students can show their skills and really bring that learning to the next level. So if you visit our Google in Education website, google.com/edu, nice and easy, you'll find a whole range of various different programs that Google's involved in. A lot of these are around promoting STEM subjects in education, projects like the Google Science Fair, which encourage students to submit their science projects to a global audience. All these different types of programs that allow students and teachers to collaborate and to connect at a global audience. And obviously then supporting and investing in education, because while Google is a fantastic technology company, we've got great services that are used by millions and millions of people around the world, 30 million students and teachers around the world. We're also aware that there's a lot of other people doing amazing things in education, and Google's really looks to support some of these initiatives. So, for example, the Khan Academy, Google has invested in working with the Khan Academy. Lots of different universities will post videos on YouTube, for example. So, really, just working with educators in order to make other people's content more easily accessible and available. So if I were to sum up what our team's mission is, it really is to encourage everyone to use open technology to improve learning for anyone, anywhere. And I suppose the open technology part is really important, so that you can use any device. Just as long as you have the internet, as long as you have the web, you can access, you can connect, you can work, you can share. I think it's a really powerful message, and that's what we really want to get across to everyone here today. So if you want to really dig into specifically what you can learn about on the Google stand today, not only from listening here, but also visiting my colleagues on the other side of the stand, and also listening to the teachers who are coming and presenting here today, most of these discussions will be centered around these three aspects. So platform. By platform, we're talking here about what we call Google Apps for education. By Google Apps, we actually mean, let me pop down here. Google Apps, we actually mean this range of Google services that we offer free of charge and advertisement free to all students, staff, faculty, and alumni of schools and universities. So what you get for this is you get an enterprise class range of products that you use, and all of these are also administered via an enterprise management console. So obviously, as well as that, we treat our education customers in the same way. We value our education customers as much as we value our business customers. And with that, obviously, comes along 24/7 support. This is incredibly important. It's incredibly valuable. It's a great tool. It's a really fantastic, useful tool for teachers and for students. So I'm going to pop back up. So obviously Google has developed a huge range of devices, and you'll also see on the other side we have 8 manufacturers represented who are manufacturing Google Chromebooks. But at Google, obviously, Android system as well, you'll be able to talk to my colleagues about a whole range of Google-specific devices that you can use to access the services available on the Google platform. And obviously all of this is just, these are just the infrastructure. This is just the services that you can use and the devices that you can use. But what you really need when you get onto the devices is actually the content. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how Google pulls together content, curates content that you as teachers can use in the classroom as well. I'll pop by here. So in case you haven't seen Google services, this is an example of Google Docs working across multiple different devices. So this is fantastic. If, for example, you are operating a bring your own device system in your classroom, you can have students using any type of device, and you'll be happy in the knowledge that they'll all be saying the same thing at the same time, which makes it so great. And here's also an example of just 2 students collaborating and using Google Documents. So you can see here how each student can actually see where the other person is in the document, what they've contributed. And you as a teacher can also go back and review what those students have contributed through their revision history. So that is really powerful. It enables the students to work together, to collaborate. But you as a teacher can just pop in and out of the document. You can see how they're getting on, give them subtle directions and hints without physically having to stand over them and watch their work. Makes the students really liberated, while also you maintain that sense of contribution to the students' overall work. So Google Apps for Education is not new. It's not new to the UK market. It's not new to the European market. We have universities and schools across the UK, for example, using Google Apps for Education. Some of our first customers signed up in 2007. So this is a product that has launched and has been used by universities and schools for a really, really long time. So to find out more, just visit our website and you'll see there are loads of different examples of how schools are specifically using this in education. But obviously, joining Google Apps, you're joining a community of millions and millions of education users. So pulling into then the content side of things, as you mentioned earlier, you have the platforms, you have the devices, but the content is what is really, really important. And from Google's point of view, we believe that the web should be the platform. So using the web to access a huge wealth of materials. So for example, here, the Khan Academy that you can use. But we also have a huge range of tools that have been developed by developers, made available on the Chrome Web Store, for example. So you can search for your maths teacher, search for maths tools, and download and use maths-specific apps for your students. I've already given away that on YouTube, there's over 100 hours of video uploaded every single minute to YouTube. Maybe not all 100 minutes of those may be particularly suitable for education or useful in an education setting. So what our YouTube education team has done is they've actually pulled together educational content. So this is content that has been shared by our education partners, so like universities, for example, or educational foundations. And they've pulled all these together into a YouTube, into a site on YouTube where you can visit. You can allow your students to explore and to find educational videos. So this is just on youtube.com/edu. You can get directly into all 700,000 plus of those videos. So one of the really key aspects that we're showing here today, and that is really visible across the whole stand, are the Google Chromebooks. And these are really, really, really exciting new development from Google. If you were here last year, you would have seen we had one Chromebook available from one manufacturer. This year, we're here with 7 different manufacturers who are making Chromebooks. And it's not only users like Steve here who's been using Google Apps for a long time. We're seeing Chromebooks radically transformed the way schools are using technology in education and making it just so easy and so simple for schools to adopt technology and bring it into the classroom. And I suppose a lot of this reason is because the traditional PC setup is really complex. It's really difficult to manage. So not only do you have to make sure that you have someone who really understands network infrastructure or really understands how to update virus protection, security patches across all of your range of devices in your school. It just gets really, really complex. And after a while, the devices start to get slower. It becomes more and more difficult to manage a whole fleet of devices. It may be possible if you have one classroom, but what happens when you get to 100 devices or 1,000 devices or 10,000 devices? And that's where Chrome comes in. So our engineers actually developed Chrome from the premise of what would happen if laptops didn't exist today and we were building a laptop from scratch. We were building a laptop for the very, very first time. And Chromebooks were what they came up with. So Chrome OS is Google's own operating system. But obviously the hardware is developed by multiple numbers of manufacturers. So I'll jump into some of these and just explain how Chromebooks work and why they're really particularly useful in an education setting. So I suppose the first thing to mention is really the speed of the devices. So I would encourage you, just when you pop over to the far side, close down a laptop, open it up again, see how quickly it boots. 8 seconds is the average time for a Chromebook to go from sleep all the way to, or from completely powered off to on. Imagine how much time that would save in the classroom and how many times you've sat waiting for 30 laptops to boot up when you're starting a class. That could be 10 minutes that you've lost in an entire session. It's really, really important. And obviously, if you also look at the keyboard, something that you may not see immediately when you open up a Chromebook, but we've actually changed the layout of the keyboard to make it more relevant and more useful to what people are actually doing on the web and using. So, for example, we've taken out the caps lock button and replaced it with a search button. So you can immediately, with one click, immediately search and find exactly what you're looking for. Really, really just small little changes, but things that make the Chromebooks really useful and a lot more useful in today's settings based on what people are actually doing and using computers for now. And obviously security is a huge aspect of why the Chromebooks have been so successful in school settings. So with Chromebooks, they have a very small storage space actually on the Chromebooks, because everything is synced online. Everything is stored, for example, in your Google Drive folder for all of your documents. So that means that the devices don't download viruses. So everything is very safe. And they're obviously incredibly simple. So one of the most important aspects for schools, particularly schools which may not have a full-time IT administrator, is that there's a very simple, easy interface. So if you've used the Google Apps management console features before, when you're controlling and managing your Chromebook devices, you'll just see an extra button which appears within your console, and from that console you can manage all of the devices that you have in your school, whether that be 100 Chromebooks or whether that be 100,000 Chromebooks. And you can manage them all really easily, really simple from one web interface. That just makes it so much easier, cuts way down on the time it takes for your IT staff to spend on these types of any issues that arise, and also makes it really easy for schools to push out new policies, for example. You don't actually need to physically touch any of these devices in order to push out the console. So I suppose just to wrap up from that, the management console just makes it incredibly easy to deploy the devices, to make them incredibly secure, but also to scale the devices. If you have thousands and thousands of Chromebooks, or even managing several hundred Chromebooks, makes it incredibly easy to do. And it's not just around the easiness. We don't. This is. You don't have to just take our word for it, that it's easier and that it's simpler and that it's more cost effective. We've actually also had independent research conducted on the Chromebooks. And there's across the board, there's massive time savings and cost savings when you're using Google Chromebooks. In terms of the number of IT hours to deploy, we have a school who told us that the most time-consuming aspect of setting up new Chromebooks when he buys them is just physically taking them out of the box. That's what takes him the most time, getting rid of the boxes. That's what takes him the most time, which is great. Can do that. That just happens once. But also support time. And I would imagine that this is where a lot of IT time and resources goes into, which is just supporting the devices that you have at the moment. So this is an example from College Cambria, a college which has purchased thousands of Chromebooks for many of their students. So the point that Mark is really making here is just around the high expectations that students have. Students come into school, they expect their schools to be able to offer them as high standard and high quality applications and services as they use at home on their own personal computers. They expect the services to be fast, to be easy to use, to be intuitive. So when schools move to Google Apps, when they move to Google Chromebooks, it's really easy. Students, they know the interface, they understand the interface. Makes it incredibly easy for administrators. So, as I mentioned earlier, last year we were here with one Chromebook. Over the past year, we've seen massive momentum, massive interest in the Google Chromebooks from across the board. And now on the far side of the screen, you'll see the whole range of Chromebooks that we have here today. So 7 manufacturers here today, and 8 on the way. So this is something that's really gaining momentum. It's really, people are absolutely loving the Chromebooks, and particularly in schools, just because of this easiness to manage, easiness to scale, and easiness to deploy. As we said, don't take our word for it. So throughout the day, we have teachers speaking, so please do grab one of the leaflets that's on our stand here, which outlines all of the speakers who are coming up here every single day. Schedule changes every day. Most of the speakers are teachers who are talking about how they are using Google services or Chromebooks in their classroom and how that's made their lives easier. So as we say, don't take our word for it. Listen to your peers, see what they have to say, and we really hope that the conference is great for you. So in closing, thank you very much. Thank you for your attention. Please do come and have a chat with us and feel free to talk with us. If you haven't had your badge scanned yet, make sure you get your badge scanned before you leave. We'll be sending out YouTube videos of all of the seminar sessions that have happened throughout the week, and we'll be sending you just some general information as well, so you don't have to write everything down. Thank you very much, and enjoy the show.